You're listening to From a Certain Point Askew, the only Star Wars podcast to have sold off both our Jedi and Sith holocrons to a very charismatic collector. Unfortunately, it also cost us our neighborly co-host. I am Jason the Ginger Jedi Guy. I'm broadcasting live from inside of my Wookiee studios. I'm not alone. Please allow me to introduce the Sith Ying to my Jedi Yang, a man whose worn-down cloak is weighed down more than his dark side ambitions, but also by the Empire expense reports that he demands be turned in promptly at 4:59 p.m. every Wednesday. Matt Darth Matthews.
Everybody else turned in their reports.
You know what? I'm a rebel.
I was going to ask you about the holocrons, because I guess it was in the previous episode and we just didn't call it out.
Right.
But those things are just sitting there on the shelf, and
they look like they're like a collector's version though, because they look a little too big. Yeah.
Right. It almost looks like a kid's toy. Like it's a kid's Sith holocron. So
right.
Maybe that's the case. Because how else do you have that just sitting around if you're a Luthen? Like that seems a little bit reckless.
I know, but it also is like, it doesn't really fit his character, right? Like this guy has got these collections of like real things, thousands of years old or whatever. And then he's got like, hey, look at this. I also got these toys here that look like they're the real thing.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Doesn't fit the gallery.
You should always have a toy section for the kids. If somebody's coming along with their kids, you just hand them the holocron. But back to what you said. Did we trade the Jedi or the Sith holocron for Cole, or like we asked for both? They wanted
it was a 2-for-1 thing, and then we still lost. Yeah.
Oh, damn. Yeah. Okay. Well,
he's Luthen's a strict dealer, man. Hard to deal with.
So just to get it out of the way, you can find our show at FromACertainPointAskew.com. You can find us on Twitter at FACPAPod. Email us, and got a couple emails today, FACPAPod@gmail.com. We are part of the Podawan Podcast Network at Podawans on Twitter. And a reminder about our giveaway. We are giving away a Mike Laybourne supplied Lego saber hilt. He does clarify later something about the hilt, which I'll save for his email. But to get that, you need to earn entries. And then we'll randomly select somebody after Andor wraps up. One way you can do that is to send us Maul Bag emails. You get one entry for each of those. You can write us a review, and you get 3 entries and a new one.
Oh, yeah?
Question of the week. If you send us a response to our question of the week, which we will get into here in a second, we're changing kind of our format a little bit on that. We'll give you an entry for that too. So there's many ways to earn entries to get yourself a chance to earn the hilt.
I like how we're adapting the rules as we go.
Sure, why not?
It also gives you another reason to really keep that spreadsheet going.
Yeah, I of course I haven't started yet, because why would I start it yet now? I'm going to wait. But it is a little bit easier to keep track of this time because of the fact that I don't have to do like every retweet and all that stuff. So anyway.
All right, on the show today, we got a question of the week, Dedra Downer and her Downtime Blues. And the news, we've got Christian Bale and Star Wars. Andor Episode 5, that's our meat and potatoes. We got a Maul Bag 1, but now it's up to 2. So we got 2 Maul Bags. And I just want to give a shout out to the first email when we get to it, because I like the stream of consciousness, but also, first time watcher and listener, I guess,
It is, yes. That's exciting.
I mean, then she gives it away at the end. It's all for a reason, but
that's okay.
We'll accept it. We'll accept it. And then we've got a FACPAtoid that it's a long-winded thing, but it kind of, we just alluded to it, but we'll end the show with more of that.
Yep. Okay, so question of the week. I'll run through this. You came up with this. We know Dedra, our friend Dedra, is all business when dealing with the Imperial bureaucracy. But what is her home life like? When she loosens that tight ISB collar and lets her hair down, does she unwind and go for Saturday brunch with her girlfriends?
I want to know this. Yeah.
Well, let me share. We did get one response. And just to give a context around that, we decided what we'll do, just to make it a little more interactive, is on Mondays we'll send out via tweet the question of the week that we're going to cover that week. And so anybody can reply, and we'll share all the responses we get. And like I said, you get an entry every time you respond to us on that. So we did get one. We did it kind of last minute. And that was from 2on3 Pod, which we don't know if it's Ty or Chris. I'm going to guess it's Ty. But I think it was
Ty.
Okay. Yeah. His comment was...
It didn't reek of tastelessness.
It wasn't necessarily a response to the question, but we're going to give him credit anyway. And that is, he posted a picture of Syril Karn and said, I'm looking forward to the, quote, maybe I'm holding in a fart stare down between these two.
I told you they visit the same proctologist. Like, there's just There's something going on, man. They were they were from the same stew, so to speak. I think.
I think so. Yeah. So thank you 2 on 3 for sending that in.
What's your answer?
I think she's heavy into the rave scene. Like, I think she plays hard and works hard.
She cuts loose, drops the acid and a couple of pacifiers.
Exactly.
Okay.
She's got to have a release, and I think she works really hard, so she plays hard. I'm sure there's many nights she's at home working late and, putting in the extra hours because that's just who she is.
She can't let it go. Yeah.
No. Yeah. But when she wants to cut loose, she goes to a rave. And I think she takes her dancing very seriously. Mm-hmm. So, every week there's some fucking goofballs or douchebags, Toro, who come up to her and try to make the moves and dance.
Oh, now he's trying to pick her up at the bar. Okay.
Yeah, and she just turns her back fuck off. So I'm sure she has to deal with a lot of shitbags at the rave scene. But I think she goes clubbing.
You think what kind of man turns her on?
Ooh, Syril.
Is it? You think so? I feel like they're too much the same though. And it already feels like we're going to this spot where they're going to meet, right? Mm-hmm. It just feels but I don't know. I don't know if I feel like they'll see a lot of similarities in each other and maybe relate, but I don't know if they would like each other. And I can't figure out Syril because with this episode we get a little bit more, and he's just a beat down whipping boy. Yes, he's going to murder his mother.
In the end, yes, he's gonna let her shit all over him. Although he does fire back here and there. He makes his little comments. But he's clearly dominated by his mother.
It's gonna be like Sling Blade, where he just by the end of the show, he's gonna call the police. I just killed my mother with a sling blade. And he's just gonna sit there and wait for the cops to come get.
Exactly. I don't know if they're a match. I still think there's a chance that that's gonna happen. They're certainly gonna work together. I think. As far as if they're gonna be in a relationship, I'm not sure, but. She's further along, but with a similar mindset to him. She's got her shit way more together than he does. She's way more in control.
Yeah.
So I don't know what she would be looking for in a partner. I don't know if she wants the submissive type.
I was just gonna say maybe she lets go, and then Syril, because he just wants to beat his mom, so he's just kind of Freudian, where he's this little sexual mother thing,
That's kind of gross, but yeah.
Is that what we're here for?
We do get into that with Star Wars sometimes.
This is an adult relationship. It's an adult show, so we're talking about adult themes.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good question because I think yes, in the ISB office, it's going to look like she's in total control. He's just her whipping boy. Once that gets to that point, because I think he's going to eventually work for her. In maybe at home, they flip the script.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
I think that's a good.
That's what I'm thinking. He pours the cereal when they're at home.
He pushes the Mailurons over the table.
Yes.
Did you notice that?
I did. Yep.
Mailurons sitting on the table. So funny. Anyway, all right. Well, if you didn't get a chance to participate in our question of the week, you can still do it when we put this episode out. Tell us your thoughts, and we can share those next week. I think
we'll go both ways, right? So. We'll take question of the week answers for this episode next week, or if you see the tweet, go ahead and play along, and we'll
go back.
We'll take all answers.
Yeah, all answers. Yeah. All answers are welcome here. All right, on to the news. So only one news item, and so it's the title of it is Christian Bale in Star Wars ? Full disclosure, I wrote this tidbit down in my notes and on our FACPA doc as Christian Slater in Star Wars.
Nice.
And didn't realize it for a while. Had you been checking the doc at any point, you would have been like, Christian Slater, what's he fucking talking about? And I fixed it later.
I got to be real. I'm a bigger Christian Slater fan than I am a Christian Bale fan.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, two very different character
Very
arcs,
different, yes.
I would think when you talk about a Star Wars character. Although I've come to find out, I was like, when I typed in, because the only way I found this out, because I'm so stupid, is I'm looking at the doc and I'm typing in the Google search Christian Slater in Star Wars, and then I see Christian Slater's face pop up, and I'm like, what? Oh God, wrong Christian. Totally screwed it up. He apparently voiced some voice in the Lego Star Wars Halloween special.
Oh yeah, you're right. He did.
So I didn't even realize that. Yep. So he did turn up that
part
way.
of the universe.
Because I was trying to think of what else could you see Christian Slater doing in Star Wars? I mean, you could certainly have him. You can certainly go the pump up the volume Heather's route.
I can see him being like kids. Toro Calican's dad.
I used to be like you, son.
Yeah. He's avenging his son's death. Well, little does he know it's one of the biggest bounty hunters in the world.
Oh man. No, sorry. So in a recent interview, Christian Bale was asked about Star Wars, I believe, and so I want to read his full quote. He said, "All I ever wanted in Star Wars was to be in a Star Wars outfit and hit my head on a door or something as I walk through. The real nerds who watch Star Wars, as we do, way too many times, always knew about the one scene where the stormtrooper hits his head on the door and he comes through. I wanted to be that guy. That was it. But look, if I'm fortunate enough to be more than that, oh man, yeah. What a delight that would be. I still got the figures from when I was little. That's hilarious. I also know Kathy Kennedy very well because she was working with Spielberg when I did Empire of the Sun when he was a fucking child.
Uh-huh.
And now she runs the Star Wars universe. So that just sounds like, well, shit, I think that's going to happen at some point. And what would you want to see him play?
You know, I don't know. Like, I definitely would. I think a villain. You know,
absolutely, yeah.
Just
he plays
because,
well.
he could kind of act his ass off a little bit and go a little crazy. But this is also like one of those things where he's just like having a conversation. He's an actor. He wants to be in something. Everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to be in a Star Wars movie. It's like,
of course,
you're looking for a headline.
I think you're right, but I also think that I could totally see it happening.
Now, what era of
I mean, hell,
Star
he was
Wars?
just in Marvel.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
and he was good in that.
Yeah, he was. He was really good. What would you want to see him in?
I think you're right. I think it's some sort of villain role. I don't know if it's a Sith role, like if you're going back, you know, it's too late probably to get him into the Acolyte, but I could see him being in a series like that where he's some sort of evil.
Maybe he'll take over and he'll become the head of the Second Order.
Oh. They literally are just like, look, we know we fucked up the first time, and just to pay homage to that, we're going to say it's the Second Order.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Psych. First order.
We don't want to change all of our letterhead, you know, just
right. You can just scratch it out.
A lot of money was spent on stationery.
I mean, he's done Good Guys too, so he's capable. He's a very versatile actor, but I just figured there's a lot of places you could plug him into, and I think it would work. All right, let's talk Andor.
Let's go through this bad boy.
Well, before we get into it, I just want to say, did you hear Gilroy was just on
Mark Maron? I didn't listen to it yet.
It's a really good interview. He gets into all sorts of stuff, like kind of how he worked his way into the business, sort of. Like he was a musician and shit, then like switched to screenwriting, and you know, as we joked about last week,
does he talk about the cutting edge?
He mentions it.
Yeah.
I think the way he was describing it was he was like kind of the workhorse guy that they just assigned to like a specific production company. Like they're like, okay, you're going to work for Amblin or whomever, and you're going to pump out scripts for us or help us write these scripts, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then he kind of worked his way up to a point where he had more freedom to do the stuff he wanted to do.
Okay.
He was really raving about, and now again, self-promotion, sure, but he was really raving about the show and how excited he was to work on it and how like it started with a much smaller scale and budget.
Yes.
And he just kept asking for more, and they kind of just went with it. And he's like they didn't even barely bat an eye when I said the first scene's going to be in a brothel.
That's crazy.
And he said they totally like gave him all this leeway. He's like, they barely gave us any notes. They really let us kind of run with the show, and they didn't micromanage it at all. So they were given a lot of runway to do whatever they wanted to do. And so that's what made it, I think, such a great experience for him.
I wonder when he says that if they didn't give him notes like story structure and development of character arcs. But I mean, I imagine someone went through there and was like, okay, you can kind of tease a planet here, or you could throw this, you know what I mean? And they kind of allude to that kind of thing. Like the Lucasfilm team kind of jumps in there for those things.
I would think there's that. I mean, there's like that Pablo Hidalgo guy's always involved in stuff like that. They'll go ask him questions just to see if stuff aligns. But I mean, he did Rogue One, so he's very familiar with that space. But also, half the time he throws shit out, or you know, if you got your captions on or whatever, and you're trying to figure out what they're talking about, you'll go look it up, and it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like so, there's a lot of new stuff he's creating. He mentioned before how he's not going to just do a bunch of Easter eggs and like fan service stuff, and so there's a lot of names and planets and places that he's
this is just shit. Created. This is just shit in 30 years we're gonna see. Oh, that was mentioned way back then.
Yeah, right, exactly. So and then you just talked also about just kind of how he was basically borrowing from every revolutionary story he's ever read about or learned about, which totally makes sense. I mean, this show is obviously talking a lot about colonization and oppression and just, you know, the varying people's reactions to it, like kind of going from resignation to like, fuck this, it's us against them kind of mentality. So overall thoughts on this episode. I think I tweeted this yesterday, I think it was, because I didn't think about it till yesterday when I was like thinking, oh, the episode's on tonight. And then I thought, they're not going to show us the job. These are 3-episode arcs.
Right.
This is just going to be another build episode. I didn't even think about that until yesterday because I'm stupid. that's why I thought we're just going to see more build. We're going to build up to the actual job. We're not going to actually see it in episode 5. And so I'm sure the haters were bored again.
I've seen a lot of that, and like, it kind of bothers me because like it doesn't always have to be the same thing, and look at the genre they're playing in. Like it doesn't have to be so quickly paced and boom, boom, boom. Like the character development is amazing, and all these little like just themes that they're weaving in and everything. Like there's nothing boring about this at all.
I didn't think so either. So I watched it last night. I go all the way through to the end. And then I'm thinking about it, like I'm thinking about what I just watched. And that's when I first think, okay, some people are going to say there was nobody even fired their blaster.
Right.
Like, this isn't Star Wars. You get a lot of that comment. This isn't Star Wars. And it's like, well, it is. It's different than any Star Wars we've seen.
It is. And that it takes a little, like, I think, I admitted Rogue One was a little different for me to adjust to, and I think, but now like I'm used to that. So I went in expecting more of that. So, but I think this is brilliant. This is so, I'm a huge Gilroy fan. Like we already talked about, like me going down the Gilroy rabbit hole. So yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just, like you said, Rogue One was a little different. It still had a lot of familiarity given what it was all tied to. And I mean, that last act was just a fucking action.
Right. Which is what he was responsible for coming in and doing. So give him some credit.
Well, and so, but I think the thing is the patience you have to have here because it's all going to pay off. Like all the stuff that he's building is going to pay off. And it's one of those where, like you think about, like you said, the character development. And I think so much of that's going to pay off with some death scenes that are coming up that are probably going to be pretty tough. You know what I mean? Like we're learning all about these certain characters that are part of this rebellion, and you're like, well, you're not all going to make it.
Well, and that makes the death scenes have some weight to them.
Exactly.
Because you're invested into these characters, whether even the people who are bored realize it or not. Like when it happens, or when, someone decides to switch teams and maybe, is a traitor, that's going to mean something too.
Exactly. I think I know who you're talking about. And it also shows you so much about Cassian. This whole first season is really meant to be how he went from this kind of like, I don't know, like kind of survivalist, like pay me guy, hey, I'm in it for the money kind of guy.
Very selfish. Right.
To being swept up by meeting all these people and seeing their dedication to this cause and then watching them fucking die for it. Because we know that's going to happen. And that's going to, I think, affect him so much that it's going to totally change his perspective by the end of the season.
Fighting for something that's like bigger than himself.
Right. This is all the formation of him becoming that person. And I think the second season is going to be all then what he does with that.
I agree.
Let's see here. So let's get into the blow by blow, unless you had anything else overall to mention.
Nope. I'm ready for a blow by blow.
You always are. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm not a morning person.
Okay.
And
I've heard the story.
I'm I'm cool with breakfast, but like I could skip it and just go straight to lunch. This opening act of this episode was like three of the worst breakfast scenes that you could possibly experience. You start with Syril eating fucking Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah. This episode should have been called like Emasculated by Mothers and Milk.
He is the look on his face this whole time, his little quips back to her.
Yeah.
It just speaks to years of torment.
You could have come visited me, Mom.
Yeah, right. I did like the fact that she's like, an open invitation is not invitation.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's kind of true.
Yeah.
Nothing specific. But he just looks so miserable. And it kind of reminded me of like right when I got out of college, I had to move in with my dad and his wife at the time. They were in between, like they hadn't bought a place up in Portland yet.
Okay. And
so they were in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. And I had to sleep on the couch.
Oh.
And it was like, you got to be up by 7:30, have all your shit put away, like make yourself scarce. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a job at the time. Like it was that's how I put myself in Cyril's position, right? Like that.
I want to take like a whole, like another direction. And I have so many questions.
It was horrible.
Like, did they go to work? Why did you have to move all your shit away and not be seen?
They were doing certain things, but it was kind of like, you got to have your all your bedding wrapped up and folded neatly and put away. And all. It was more so my dad's wife than my dad. He was probably like, whatever, you can do it. Like, I don't care. Yeah. But she was very, very adamant that she's like, you're living with us. And I understand you got this 21-year-old punk ass who like now is living with you temporarily. And you're like, get out of our face. So that's kind of, I think, was her feeling. But yes, like, that's how I felt.
Like
Syril
3 weeks
was
into
feeling.
it, she's like, it's like he's living here. And your dad's like,
yeah. Oh, do.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Oh man. But yeah, so anyway, the Edie, his mom, her name's Edie.
Yeah.
She just is fucking riding his dick, and not in that way, but
No.
in a very in a very cruel and harsh way about his lack of prospects.
Right.
And how he's like, and then like you said, how he never invited her to come visit him on Ferrix. And he's like, I had spare room.
Yep.
I did like the line where he goes, I forgot about the precision of your predictive powers. Because she was like, I knew this was going to fail.
Yeah. She's like, I'm calling Uncle Harlow.
I know. What the hell's up with Uncle Harlow?
I don't know.
Who is Uncle Harlow?
I feel like I watched it twice, and the second time watching it, I kind of got the feeling because the thing with Gilroy, it doesn't give you what you're expecting, right? So I'm like, maybe there's a twist, and like he's part of the government, or he's a senator, but he's working for the other side. So now, he's got to turn on this family member as well, maybe.
Oh, you're saying Harlow would be like on Mon's side?
Yeah.
Oh, could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out exactly what he would do. What was his capacity? Because it was weird the way she danced around it. Like, I haven't asked him yet, or, whatever she says. I didn't know if it was that or more of the more obvious one, which is he somehow has direct ties to the Empire and he's going to get him in the door there. Like, hey, I can get you a job as an intern at the ISB.
I don't know though, because like if he did, like, why is she so like? It's weird that she feels so entitled to something when she's living. I mean, it's her that lives down that in the below, right? So she's considered like below everything. But she has like this entitlement where like her son was supposed to go off and like succeed or whatever, and then bring her with. Like, what does she do, or why does she do it for herself? So when he kind of questions like Harlow and whether he even remembers her, I feel like there's probably some truth to that. Like, she's delusional, I think.
Yeah, you could be right. I mean, at some point, we don't know what happened to Syril's dad, but at some point when he went away, or when he either left them or got killed, what?
Just like Star Wars, a true theme, Uncle Harlow is his dad.
I was going to say, you could do Harlow as his dad. No, it's the Major, whatever, Paragaz or whatever his name is. That's his dad. The guy who wants the reports on his desk.
Yeah. Don't put your feet on my desk. Oh, you're talking about the Empire guy.
Yeah, the Empire.
Okay. All right. I think that's your dad.
Could be. Yeah. Meanwhile, Cassian wakes up and finds his gear missing, and so he goes and confronts Skeen.
Yes.
And this dude had a great episode. Great actor, fucking awesome storyline there. Trying to figure out exactly what's going on with him. I think that may have been the person you were alluding to who might be the traitor.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. Now, have you seen the show on FX, or it's on Hulu as well, The Bear, right? It's called The Bear, I believe.
I don't know.
It's his name escapes me, but it's one of the was he the oldest brother in Shameless? He's like a chef in New York or Chicago. He has to go back and, he was like this big time chef and goes back to Chicago and shit's not working right. And he's running this small time, like family owned diner basically. Mm-hmm. And they're known for like their certain sandwiches and stuff they do. But he's like a chef, and so he gets the whole kitchen. Yes, chef. And that guy plays his cousin, who's like never left Chicago, has always worked for the restaurant there, and they're clashing all the time, So he's just always up that dude's ass. So he's a good actor. He really is.
He's great. And he was great in this whole episode. He's been good so far, but yeah, there's something's up with him. With the way it was all described. It just seemed a little fishy.
Yeah, especially with like the tattoos and the markings. I mean, the story of his brother, I believe, but it just seems like it's one of those I don't want to go back again things, right?
I think you could be right. And it was interesting with the tattoos because the first one he showed, or I guess it's more of a barcode branding. Yeah. It looked almost like the Tarkin Initiative logo a little bit. Oh, yeah. That kind of that like that, whatever that is, like hexagonal like shape. So I didn't know if that was it. And then he showed him something else. There was a few lines of dialogue I was confused by, because at one point Cassian says to him, "Crate head," and I'm like, what does that fucking mean? Yeah,
I thought they were talking about like he was on Crate.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I knew that would have perked you up. Crate meat?
Right. Oh, I was thinking of isn't Crate the name of the planet in The Last Jedi?
Oh, I was thinking the other crate. I was thinking like a crate dragon. Crate like where the salty planet. Yeah. Yes, right. Could have been that.
They had prisoners mining out there.
That's a good point. Could have been. Yeah. And then he showed him that other one, and he goes, "By the hand." I don't know what that meant. So those are things that I didn't have a reference to, and I wasn't sure what that meant. And then Cassian tells him he was on SIPO. He was at the SIPO Youth Center for 3 years, which would have led him up to his time going to Mimban.
Yes.
As the fucking cook.
Right.
So interesting little exchange there with those two. But and then he mentions that Nemec is like, he's young, but he's really dedicated to the cause, and we find out more about that when he shares his fucking manifesto later. And then he talks about Cinta. And it was funny because he sees Cassian looking at Cinta, and he goes, she's already sharing a blanket. Now, did you at that point go, Vel?
Yeah. Well, no. At first, I was like, okay, who? But then later on in the episode,
it's clear.
Yes. And I was like, well, but because I had to watch it, one of those times I watched it the second time, I was looking for, because I thought he said, I thought there was like an insinuation, like you can be interested in her because that one is sharing a blanket. But I must have, the second time watching, I was like, oh no, he didn't say that. And clearly we've got a little, Yeah, Vel
and Cinta appear to be together because she's like jumping in anytime he's talking to Cinta. She like jumps in. Like at that one point he's saying to Cinta, she's like, how's your arm? He's like, it's a lot better. You're a healer. And he like kind of gives her the look.
Yeah.
And Vel jumps in like, you can dress yourself from now on.
Yep. That's where I was like, oh, I get it.
So there's a little love affair going on there.
They're sharing blankets and rugs.
Oh boy. Back on Coruscant, we see how cold the mornings are at the Mon Mothma residence.
Oh my God.
Fucking brutal.
Does anybody have a good breakfast in this show?
No. The worst breakfasts on earth in this show.
and like the fucking husband, like I'm trying to figure out like what was it like when they loved each other? Because,
I don't know that they ever did.
Right.
I think this is convenience.
Like a marriage. Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, was it like a shotgun wedding because he knocked her up at a party one night? And,
Could. I mean, they've got their kid is, she's a teenager.
Yep.
I don't know if it's like he married her. I mean, I can see why he would marry her to kind of like get into the royalty and like kind of be living the high life. I'm not sure where the draw is for her to marry him. Maybe he's got an enormously long penis.
Yeah, it must be. And she just wants to be.
She wants to be satisfied.
Yeah.
She's long days at the Senate. She wants to be satisfied by somebody. But eventually that runs out. And you're like, oh, but I have to live with you all the time, not just bang you. This is fucking horrible.
Yeah, I don't know if she, like the way he dresses, I just feel like she just looks at him like, you're such a putz.
Oh, he's just a piece of shit.
Uh-huh.
I mean, her skin crawls the second she sees him every time. I love how any comment's made. I love it. She's always like, you enjoying this?
Mm-hmm.
She does that to him every time.
Well, like he's got like, you can recognize that whole, like, you ever been there before, like where the other parent's kind of letting the kid go out, and taking that side, and he's just kind of grinning like, oh, yeah, she's right,
It's up to her.
Yeah.
Like, hey, my hands are tied.
It is interesting, like, she's giving everything.
I'm the good parent.
She's giving everything to save the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
But she can't fucking, like, get her daughter on board.
Right. Yeah, her daughter, there's a lot of fucking shit going on there where she's like, you only care about yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that stuff going on. And I don't know. It was a very difficult scene to watch because you're like, oh God, just leave the room. This is terrible. Finally, she got up and left. I was like, thank God.
It's typical. Well, thank you for your support. She just shuffles off.
Well, the only thing that was missing in that scene that would really relate it to like, modern day is if like her daughter had a friend over and the friend's just sitting there like, go, like, can you pass the butter?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, where's your bathroom? Okay. So then we get into kind of them really starting to kind of prepare for this heist. And that's where Nemec is like, hey, let me share my manifesto with you, with Clem.
And again, they're drinking the goat's milk. Yeah.
Drinking the milk. Yeah, he didn't really like the milk. But yeah, it was interesting listening to him do this whole breakdown of his thoughts and talking about like all the galactic oppression and just, how it's affected everybody and all the tactics they use and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of interesting. But then it gets interrupted by Tamarin, who's like, hey, let's go. We got to go talk, do our planning meeting with Vel. Yeah. I love how Cassian's like, you guys don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, they're just showing their ass because they're like, so how would you, like, we know how we would do it.
Yeah.
How exactly would you go about making sure the weight's good and all that stuff? And he's like, what? What are you asking me?
So it is on a rail. Yeah, it's on a rail.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost like they're looking at each other like, no. Yes, it's on a rail.
We were told it's on a rail, but how would you deal with the weight distribution?
Yeah, like there's certain ways we would do it. We just want to know how you would do it.
Now we know what you're doing. We know Andor is very good at lying, like boldly into the face of anybody. Do you think
he's faking it?
I don't. I think he trusts himself enough to be like. I think his line of like, my life isn't like, I'm going to fly this ship, right?
Sure.
So I believe that's exactly. He's going to figure it out. He made up the whole fucking, it's an add-on. It's a fucking like Cadillac perk that you put on later. It's an order. Yeah. I don't think.
He certainly, because of the business he was in, he was constantly like going on to different spacecraft. Right. He was constantly seeing different pieces of equipment that was, trying to sell and make money or whatever. So it's possible because like that conversation he has with Nemec right before that, where Nemec pulls out that little device and he's like, God, I haven't seen one of these in a while and all that kind of thing. Like he seems to, he's faking it really well if he's faking it.
Yeah. Did you notice what that was? I'm almost 100% sure because my grandma used to use it all the time. It was like it was a Polaroid camera.
Oh, it was.
but it looked like from the back end, it looked like a Polaroid camera that they just.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
They've used. I mean, we joked about how Qui-Gon used like a shaver,
a Gillette shape. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So I could see them repurposing that. That's funny. Yeah. So he's like, I'm gonna fly this, like you said, and then they go out. And Tamarin's kind of laying out how he's like, basically like, see our whole camp here? We've laid this out the same as the place we're gonna infiltrate. I thought that was cool too.
Yeah.
So him laying all that kind of stuff out so they could kind of get it right down to the step. And then he's running through like Cassian, like his identity and who he is, and he's a soldier, and he's like trying to correct him on things. And then we get a nice Arrested Development moment. No touching! No touching!
It was too.
I just love that. Don't fucking touch me. Just ask me. All right? And then they walk off their approach to the doors, and Cassian, that's when he suggests, like, hey, Skeen and Tamarin, you guys should switch.
Right.
And they're trying to figure out why. And Vel does that whole thing of like, okay, well then tell me, Mr. Observant.
Right.
Like, what handed is this person? What handed is this person?
Yeah.
And he's able to go through and tell them all. This is straight Bourne stuff. This is like, this reminded me of the scene in Jason Bourne, the first one, where he's sitting in that diner or whatever, and he's telling Marie, like, I don't understand who I am, but I know that like the waitress is left-handed. That guy can handle himself. There's probably a gun in this guy's truck. He's like this information gathering, observational skills that clearly Cassian possesses.
Yeah, you're right. Very much so.
We get a little TIE drop in.
I love
which
the
was fucking
scream
cool.
of that TIE fighter.
Oh, and he just buzzed the tower.
Yeah,
he just
did.
fucking right by, like, fuck these people. Look at these herders up here. Back on Ferrix, that guy Blevin is giving out orders to his report. Basically, you want to set up headquarters here at the hotel and run operations. So they're setting up something there. They feel like they got to set up operations to manage the planet now that the corpos are gone. So they're trying. I
love the guy who's like, can I be he wants a title change? He's
prefect
like,
or something.
I know there's no pay, but it's
I just want the title.
They're the fucking Empire, man.
And then we see him pass Dedra. This is our first sighting of her at the ISB headquarters. And every time I see her, I'm like, I feel like she's like Ellen DeGeneres' niece. She looks like Ellen to me. Next time you watch it, tell me if I'm seeing that wrong. But her face looks just like Ellen.
I can see that's the eyes and everything. Yeah,
there's something about it. I don't know. But she's working with her assistant, like going through files, trying to form this connection of what's this organized rebellion. And I like how she's like, this is exactly how I would do it.
Yes.
Not exactly tied together, seemingly random.
Yeah, the events are too random to be random.
Yes. Yeah, I like that quote.
Yeah.
And then she's popping pills. Do we got a problem here? She's taking speed?
What's going on? Yeah. Well, it's a little caffeine. They're going to stay up. It's 2 more folders. Okay, let's do it.
Just 2 more each.
And she doesn't even offer her assistant a caffeine pill.
No, he's just got to do his own thing.
Right.
But I just wondered if is it caffeine pills or is it speed? Is this a Jesse Spano situation?
Oh yeah. I'm so excited. I want to see that deleted scene. Deirdre thinks she's back at the rave.
Oh, fuck.
You can't let go of your whole past. Take a little bit with her to the Empire.
Right, exactly. Oh, fuck. Then just a real quick scene, like back at the Imperial base on Aldhani, that Lieutenant Gorn is like barking orders to everybody. He's clearly doing a little chess game here, trying to get all the pieces in exactly the right place, but make it not look like
he's doing his job, but also making sure he knows where everyone's going to be or where they need to be or where he wants them to be tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah. And almost reluctantly at times, like those guys were like, but boss, like people want to see the fucking light show. And he's like, fine. But all along he was going to do that. So
right.
I love the fact that the corporal or whatever makes a snotty remark about like the dirty stinking Aldanis. Fucking
yeah.
God damn it. Goddamn Empire. And you can tell Gorn is just like wincing, like, you fucking piece of shit. Yeah, sure.
This is I'm trying to remember this. Is this all one scene where because this is where he's walking on top and the guy's leaning over and they're talking about the view, and then he says they allude to the fact that they're going to wipe out all the land and make an Imperial base there.
Yes.
And then he goes underneath, right? And then you see the safe and the ship and
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's that. And just before that, I think is when he sees those guys and he's like, you're doing target practice on this little temple, like clean this shit up. Like all that's kind of what he's walking around setting up. Back at Casa Guilt Trip, Syril continues to get grilled by his mom. I mean, this guy is in fucking misery.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
So yeah, I was trying to figure out who Uncle Harlow is, but later they show him in his room staring obsessively at that fob of Cassian.
It's like mom won't like upgrade the internet package for the poor guy to watch a little Pornhub.
No, he's got to just look at Cassian. Yeah. Which is funny because Cassian is like it's a younger shot of him, but it more looks like what he looks like now because he's shaved. He's like, oh, I can see, that doesn't have the beard.
Yep.
And I think that's why, and we talked about this, but I think that's why like his obsession and his experiences directly on Ferrix, I think is what's going to bring him and Dedra together if they're put in a similar place. Because she's got her views on this rebellion being organized and all this stuff, and he's seen shit firsthand. So that they're going to come together and be like, yes, you get it, And
then like the I think when they meet, it's going to be unsuspected because Andor doesn't know that this guy knows anything about him, right? So it could be one of those missions where he turns a corner in a freaking Imperial hallway and thinking he's safe and runs into him, and that dude's like, I fucking know
that's
who
the
you
guy.
Are. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The only thing he knows about him is just he held him up to get, on Ferrix. That was it. He didn't know that he was like the main.
Yep.
Back at the rebel camp, they're like burning everything. It's the it's go time. We're gonna burn all our plans. We're gonna sit around and drink and toast the rebellion. Nemec is like, we really have to burn my models? I work fucking hard on those things. Can I just say one piece? Then they set out the next morning, and that's when we hear about Lieutenant Gorn. He's like, what the fuck is up with Lieutenant Gorn? Why is that guy going to like turn on the Empire and jeopardize everything he has for this cause? And she shares that he apparently fell in love with some local woman, and it cost him a promotion, and then she somehow... And her, which means she must have gotten killed or sent off somewhere.
Yep.
And that's his motivation. And I liked it. She said, everyone has their own rebellion.
Yes. Yeah.
Their own motivations. And then Skeen swipes the fucking kyber crystal from around Cassian's neck and starts getting all up in his
Comes up like
business.
a prisoner with a shank.
Yeah, right. Because, I mean, all along building up to this, anytime somebody was touching his stuff, there was a couple other scenes where like he's like, what are you doing with my shit? Like, give me my shit. Don't touch my stuff. So it looks very, very suspicious.
This whole episode is like, I mean, the theme is like trust.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And he's like, why does this guy have this big ass fucking kyber around his neck? This doesn't make any sense. When
does he say it's worth 30,000 credits
yes,
or
and
something?
I was waiting for Cassie to go, well, actually, it's 50,000.
Yeah. Just rub it in a little bit.
And then he comes clean. I think he realizes, you know what? The only way this is going to work is if I don't have everybody doubting every fucking thing I'm doing. So I'm just going to tell him I'm all about the money.
Even though it's probably the worst thing they could hear, like at least they know why he's there and they can trust him.
Right.
Or
at least, they understand him more and it's not so in the dark. Clearly, Nemec is just devastated by this. He's like, it's really just about the money? I thought he was going to like stab him right there.
You're not about the cause?
Yeah, come on, man. Did you not read my manifesto? You haven't read my manifesto yet.
Yeah.
You got to read it. Let's talk about, let's talk about that ship that comes flying into the Imperial base. Looks an awful lot like a little Delta-class shuttle.
What do you think? You think it's him?
I don't know. Are you talking about Krennic?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about, because that's always some bigwig guy is always the guy who's on board those things. So who would it be?
Well, I think it would be fitting because it would just line up with like every time he thinks he's onto something and shit's going good, doesn't work out. He's got to go back and report to Tarkin or get an ass whooping from Vader. So it's like, we're just going to see a little bit of that.
It could be. And you would think he would show up at some point just because these things all intersect.
Yeah.
But Laybourne actually was pointing out on Twitter that he's like, well, the Lego Krennic ship I have does not look like that. And I was like, oh, so he's thinking it's not necessarily his ship.
Okay.
That's Laybourne's opinion. Just saying. But yeah, we'll see. It's got to be somebody of importance. I mean, we hear all this talk of an Imperial engineer coming in. And of course, everybody thought, is that Galen Erso? Mm-hmm. But why would he go there? Like, why would he go to that planet? That didn't really make sense to me,
Unless, like, because he's gonna design the fucking base. But
perhaps
I see Kenrick, the actor, coming back to doing his role before I see his name's escaping me.
Mickelson.
Mikkelsen. Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen coming back to do that.
Yeah, it could be. I would think so too. And I think at some point we definitely will see Krennic. I'm just wondering when. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if it's this early. Back on Coruscant, Mon and Perrin coming back from a lovely night out. Which, by the way, we're trying to figure all that out because, you know, they had this table set for a dinner at their house, but then they're out to dinner and they're coming back.
Yeah.
So I still think next episode we're going to see whatever that, like,
you think?
some sort of dinner party.
I don't, well, yeah, I mean, I guess.
But maybe it wasn't that one that she was talking about. I don't know.
It was an interesting conversation between the two of them. And this time, like, you're kind of like, does he must respect her enough to be like, what was his name again? Like, he doesn't respect her enough to remember the name, but he, like, at least and then uses his name and says,
right,
can you take the highway? You know, but, you know, he questions the foundation, which is her charity that she's, like, you know, funneling money through. So this is going to be like I think he's going to find out, and he's going to be put, like, do I lose it all for her, or do I turn her ass in so I can keep all of this?
Yeah, and I feel like he's going to turn her ass in.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll come good. But yes, I just love the fact that he's like, what's the deal? Why'd you ever tell me about the foundation? She's like, I didn't think you'd be interested because it's charitable.
Yeah.
And he just goes, oh.
Well, that seemed like a dig, though, because I'm more than one way. One is because that's who he is, right? So she's going to dig him at that. But also, like, it was almost like, who's this person that he was talking to at dinner all night? Because she seemed a little miffed.
Yes, I looked him up and I didn't find him.
Doesn't
so
exist.
Again, it's a new name, so I didn't know who that was. But I don't know. I'm so anxious to get to that next scene with her to really see all this stuff come out. Like, where does everybody land? Like, how many people are on her side in the Senate? And how much maneuvering is she having to do? Because we really just don't know yet. We only got a teaser.
Well, there's that one shot in the trailer where she's like sitting in that room, behind that white couch or whatever. And isn't there like a party going on? You can see people and like the doors close on her, like she's all alone.
Yep, and there was a shot of her looking over at her husband.
Yes.
He's kind of milling around with some people.
Right.
And then there's that shot of her talking to that other guy. And that's when she said, if they see this, they won't know what I'm really up to. And that's what he says. What are you really up to?
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to get to that. I imagine that's coming in episode 6. We'll get to what's next in here in just a second. We're almost done with this episode. But the rebels make it to the outskirts of the base. They see Gorn. He sees them. They kind of signal, hey, we're in position. I love how she's like, okay, that's good. And the guy keeps waving
for another
I'm like,
5
could you
waves.
stop?
Because I'm watching the whole time. I'm like, and then as the camera like loses focus and she turns around, then you kind of see the arm go down and look after 5 more waves.
Yeah. If Gorn can see that, maybe other people can too.
Exactly.
So let's be careful about that. It seems like a weird way to do that.
Just a couple extras, just in case, Ma.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. He's lighting a cigarette on it. Hold on. And then that's when Skeen reveals his motivations, like you mentioned before. Yeah. His brother essentially lost his farm, was taken over by the Empire, and then he killed himself. Yeah. And so he is like, that's why I fucking hate the Empire. But he kind of says it like, I got other reasons too, but like that's where I started. So yeah. But you think that he's maybe doing some sneaky moves here?
I think so. I mean, there's
Gorn would be too obvious.
Right, exactly. And like, they're not all going to get away. I think Kenric's going to die. I think the manifesto is going to come into play. Like, he's going to read it, and maybe that's going to be something that, like...
Who'd you say is going to die?
I'm sorry, I meant...
Nemec?
Nemec.
The kid?
Yes, I said Kenric.
Yeah, I think he's not long.
Right.
I think he's not long for this world, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, because he's, young and, like, likable and full of, like, hope.
Yes, right.
He doesn't fit this world.
Those people don't make it. You got to be way more hardened.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, maybe Tamron, but I think Tamron probably survives. Maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't know about Gorn. Vel is a toss-up because I could see her dying and it really affecting Luthen.
I feel like there's shit's gonna go down there, right? Because it's not gonna go according to plan. I think what's his face is gonna turn. I think Andor's gonna have to fucking deal with it, and he's gonna be caught and arrested, right? So that puts him in that prison that we see in the trailer scene.
It could, but we also saw that scene in the trailer where it looks like he's flying while that whole eye of the whatever's happening. So I don't think if he gets caught, either that was not what I think it is, or if he gets caught, it's later. It's after they actually get off of that base. I don't know, but you're right. It would make a lot of sense for him to get caught. It would be a great cliffhanger to go into episode, 7.
Right. Yeah.
So Vel is like telling Cassian, hey, Tamara's in charge. Say it.
Yeah.
Say it. Tamara's in charge. Come on. And he's like, hey, you got no problems for me. Like, okay, guy.
Uh-huh.
But where are she and Cinta going? They going for a weekend away?
Yeah, I think so. Like, one last night together. They got a bungalow up on the mountain they're going to stay at for the night.
It does make me wonder how they're going to come into play, because obviously all 4 of the guys are going in there and duping as soldiers to infiltrate the base.
Yeah.
So what part are they playing as the other 2? Like, how are they just running operations from above? I'm not sure. And certainly Cassie wants to know, because they're like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I wonder what they are doing.
I don't know. We'll see.
Because they haven't like shown anything for any of their plans to allude like they were going to go off and do their own thing. So
right.
Maybe, I mean, perhaps a distraction.
It could be. I was trying to think of what else it would be. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but I don't know. Then you've got finally the last scene, which was really interesting, was Luthen.
Yes.
His gallery, and he's just futzing with the communications box, trying to hope to hear something, and he's just acting all fidgety, and it's making, what's her name again? Is it, I was going to say Flea. It's not Flea. What is it? What is her name?
I don't know, but like he's listening to, it's like it's like a ham radio, or in the Star Wars universe, let's call it the ham-o radio.
Or the Han radio.
There we go. Yep. Yeah, but it's like basically he's listening to like the police scanner.
Yeah, right, exactly. Anything reported yet? It's Clea, not
Clea,
Flea.
yeah.
I don't know why I said Flea.
Now, did you get the like he talks to her about her go bag, all this, and she's giving him like the let's go to bed, dear eyes. Was that?
Oh,
just
you think
me?
they're together?
Was that just like it seemed more than it wasn't? It was like I don't know.
I don't think there's anything there.
No,
I don't think. I see why you would think that, but I don't think there's anything there between the 2 of them. I think they're just operating together.
Okay.
On this deal. That's my guess. You could be right.
Yeah.
But she is like, you're making me fucking nervous by acting all nervous. So please stop. Like, we got to still operate as normal.
Yeah.
Like, we got clients coming in tomorrow. By this time tomorrow, it'll all be over and we'll know what's next.
Or it'll just begin, or it'll just have started or something. So yeah, I mean he's worried because like if they get caught, like the one thing he put into play late was Andor, and Andor could go back, put it back on him, then he could get caught, like the whole thing can be over. So it's
he said it was reckless the way he brought Cassian in, but he also said Clea says Vel's the only one who can tie it back to us or to you. So I mean, again, it's his daughter. It's got to be his daughter.
I think so.
Like that's just a straight up like confirmation right there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I think that was kind of it. So we're just kind of waiting to see what happens next. And so yeah, I mean we're gonna get a ton of action in the next episode. So everybody who's been bitching and worried and this doesn't feel like Star Wars, you're gonna get a lot of it. You're gonna get a big payoff this next episode.
We're gonna find out who the secret visitor is. We're gonna get rappelling down the wall. We're gonna get a heist. We're gonna get
some deaths.
Yep. We're gonna get a
figure out everybody's intentions.
I'm not on your team.
Right. You're going to know everybody's intentions.
Yeah. We get to see the fucking Crystal Light show.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. I mean, so were the Imperial officers. Now, everybody wants to see this light show. Like, if I'm going to be here on this fucking planet for 3 years, can I see the one thing that's cool?
Yeah. Please. Now, do you think any of the farmers show up? Last year, what did they say? Last year, there was like 10 people that showed up.
It was a low number. Maybe it's at 100. But yeah, probably. I would think so. You would think you get some locals to show up.
They can hide in the group.
And maybe that's how Vel and Cinta come in, is just like, oh, we're just some of the normal people here coming to the temple. That's how they kind of blend in to get to that area. Yeah. So that's possible. Yeah. I just thought about that. And then we'll get the dinner party hopefully, or something in that regard. And then I think what it's going to do is it's going to put us in a place where we're wide open for episode 7. Like we're no idea where we're going to go next, unless of course Cassian does get captured. Then you're like, okay, well we're going to prison, which would make a lot of sense for that arc to happen next.
Right. I agree.
That was kind of all I had. Now it's time for.
Hello there.
You've got mail.
Jack that volume up. All right, we got a couple emails, and as you alluded to earlier, first-time emailer. First-time listener to the show, Kristen Meyer of How Was Your Week, Honey? Great show. Go check them out. By the way, I love the fact that he basically forced her to she's going to reveal that as we go along, but he basically forced her to do this. She says, and there's this, like you said, stream of consciousness, so it's like it's going to be tough to remember some of this stuff. But holy fuck, red light district and bleeding. Nice one, Jay. I didn't know it was that kind of show. If I had, I'd listen sooner.
Okay, that must have been. Did I make a joke about the red light district and bleeding?
You made a joke about the Kyber crystal, and does the Kyber crystal bleed?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. All right, I'm on board. I'm following.
Come for the Star Wars talk. Stay for the dick and fart jokes.
Yep.
That's how we operate. Jodie Turner Smith. Just have to say Pacey's wife. She puts this like love emoticon. Toe pick. Finally, I knew it was going to come up in this episode, but I had to wait a long time to finally understand something. Toy Soldiers, great movie. I mean, this is so all over the board. It's hilarious. It's literally like she's jotting down notes and just just spew
As
them
she's
all
listening.
out. Yeah, Jeannie kind of does this. Jeannie, when she sends her mails in her, it's always kind of like this. Okay, back to Star Wars. It is slow. Oh shit, sorry, Chris. And then she put #selfishlover. I think that's in reference to me saying anybody who thinks the show's too slow probably doesn't satisfy their partner before they blow.
Yeah.
The Leisure Zone reminded me of the bar in Charmed. Did you ever watch Charmed?
I have no.
Okay,
No.
I didn't either.
Apparently, I'm watching the man version of it though.
Yes, that's what she says. I finally figured out that this shit is just men's CW. I don't think that's true.
No, not at all.
Come on now. Have you ever been to Amsterdam? You should go. Okay, this is a running joke. Whenever
I was gonna say, is she trying to get us to go to the red light district?
No. This is what I said to you. Is I said, have you been to Amsterdam? And I was telling you about it.
Okay.
I've shared this with them. There's this joke that goes back years and years where this guy I was at a party or something. This guy kept like rattling off places he'd gone. He's like, oh yeah, we went to Thailand. Have you ever been? Oh, you totally got to go. And it's always like some like far off exotic place or something. And it's like, yeah, I'd do it if I had the fucking cash flow, man. Like it's not something it's not like go to that restaurant. You should go to that restaurant. It's like, no, across the globe. Anyway, fucking Tim. That's shithead Tim. Thanks.
Yeah, shithead Tim.
Paul Blart. But he added piping to his uniform, Matt. And then this is where I got confused for a second because she put Bix, like hot. And then she said, I mean, come on, look at him. And I was like, wait a minute, him? She's moved on. She's talking about Cassian now.
Right. I first of all, I gotta scold you, Kristen, for a second. Because if we're gonna bring Bix up, you gotta spend a little time with her. All right. I don't even give a shit if you add periods or exclamation points, you want to use emojis or whatever, but like, let's spend some time because I would spend some time on Bix.
I would spend a lot of time on Bix.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Not in the same night though.
No.
All right, let's be clear.
Let's not do that. I mean, come on, look at him. He's hot, so obviously he gets a lot of action. I mean, I'm even watching this goddamn show.
So who's hot, Andor?
Andor.
Okay.
Yeah, Diego Luna.
There's no Andor in this.
No, she just goes right onto it.
Yeah.
We're to assume. So then she said, fucking Tim.
Fucking Tim again.
Shithead Tim. Liam Neeson, LOL, #formula. What is that a reference to?
I don't know what the hashtag formula means, but I think she's laughing that we're okay.
The Liam Neeson was a
right, but has she listened to the past couple episodes so she knows where the joke is coming from? So
maybe
we're keeping the formula going.
I don't know. I feel like she started on episode 1 of this. Like I feel like she just started Okay. So I don't know. She has
no idea we're missing a co-host.
Right. She doesn't realize that. She doesn't know that, and she also doesn't know that he did not know that Stellan Skarsgård was Stellan Skarsgård, not Liam Neeson.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for discussing the yellow guys. I was wondering if the planet was poisoned, something blew up when the ship crashed, or that was just the color of their skin. I love the Lord of the Flies kids. I hope they go into the history of why those kids were there on their own. I mean, they have 12 episodes, so they got time. I mean, nothing really happened in the first 3 episodes. I'm sure they could have put something about that in there. They did. They gave us the backstory.
There's a lot that happened.
There's a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah.
You get the idea of what's going on. I don't think at this point we're going to go back and do any more flashbacks of that era.
Yeah, I don't
that was
think
to
so.
set the tone of where he came from.
Right. Yeah.
Much to her.
I mean, that kidnapping had to mean something, so we got a lot of flashbacks.
It was a rescue.
Yeah.
That's how people are going to say it now. So you're charged with kidnapping. You mean rescuing?
Yeah.
I agree. The music is good. I only made it through the first 2 before I had to go to bed too. I think did somebody watch the first 2 and then go to sleep? Did that happen?
Well, I think she's on #selfishlover then.
The banging on the pipes was awesome. I just wish they had explained it better. Was it for Andor because they all like him? Bix said not many people knew him. Was that tongue in cheek? Would they do that for anybody? Yeah, I think that's just an alarm system when anytime the shithead Corpo or
I think it had to do with
it
had to do with corporate being there and like everyone hide your shit, hide your kids, hide your wife.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That lady is the ultimate mom. She's talking about Mulva.
Oh,
Marva. Silence is the scariest threat. That's true. You know that shithead Tim? Dead. That's another dumb reference. I don't know if you ever heard us used to say that on my old podcast, but it's an old joke about how whenever somebody dies, it'd be like, hey, I'd text you, be like, hey, you know Loretta Lynn? You'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, she's dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Loretta Lynn.
Hey, to go
Rest in
back to
peace.
Mulva. To Mulva. Who was it in this episode? Their name was almost Clitoris.
Was there somebody that name? Oh, are you not Lita, because that was her daughter.
Cleoris or
Cloris? Oh, it was Cloris. It was the driver.
Yeah, the driver's name
was
Cloris.
Cloris.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I was waiting for you to get confused on that.
I should have fucked that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Syril has to turn into someone bad. Isn't that what Star Wars is all about? Hurt little boys' feelings and subsequent revenge? You're not far off.
I know. Yeah, the only thing we haven't had from him yet is like the emo, I'm throwing a fit in the hallway.
Oh, yeah. It's going to happen. Yeah. He's yet to really explode on anyone. So.
Right. I'm telling you, his mom is not long for this show.
She's going to end up with a toe tag. It's not.
Yes, exactly. Good. He's going to bag her and tag her and leave. I'm out of here.
Make it look like an accident.
He's going to call Uncle Harlow. I need a job.
Harlow, I need a job immediately. Fun episode, you guys. I didn't understand a lot of it, but let's be honest. Chris made me do this because he really wants that fucking hilt, LOL. Well played, Chris. And then she said, God save the queen. Barf. Kristen. Queen Amidala?
Well, she is. Oh, I was going for, she's Canadian, she's still dealing with the whole queen thing.
Oh, no, she is.
But she's wiping her tears with her money,
Yeah, right, exactly. Now they got to change that money. Oh, that sounds expensive.
So Kristen, I hope you listen longer than just to hear the rebuttal to your email. Stick around with us. We're going to teach at least 60%. Or no, we're down to 40% now.
I think you and I upped our game enough to account for some of the loss of Cole, but, we'll just call it 40. Just makes it easier.
Yeah. I mean, we lost Cole once Andor started with flashbacks. Like, timeline just...
he's lost.
He doesn't know where he's at.
He does not know where he is.
We're riding home today, and I was like, I got to record FACPAtoid. He goes, a new episode came out today? I was like, you've just
he's not even watching anymore? Shit.
He said he watched the first 3, but he hasn't watched the new one yet.
All right. It'd be real interesting to hear what he has to say about this whole series.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Kristen, very much. Please keep listening and writing in. Second email is from... Mike Laybourne.
Why don't you eat my ass, Mike? That's my response to that.
Mike Laybourne. Now we know breakfast cereal is a thing in the Star Wars universe. Which Star Wars characters can you see putting their name or face on a box of cereal?
Okay, like Wheaties?
Yeah, Wheaties for sure. That's Vader.
Yeah. You think so?
It's got to be a Jedi or a Sith. It's got to be somebody like with some, they got some physical talents.
Like, I want like some Max Rebo's Fruity Loops or something.
You hear that, Cole?
Yeah.
Didn't they do a C-3POs like Cheerios, in real life?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that happened. I was trying to figure out, does he mean like who would the Empire put on the cereal boxes, or do we just want to put on the cereal boxes? Because the Empire, I think, would just have palps all over every fucking brand you could. It was just his shriveled face and a Lucky Charms.
It'd be like Spaceballs the cereal, but it's just Star Wars the cereal. It's the
right, exactly. Or I also thought instead of Captain Crunch, Captain Rex.
Oh, there we go.
Just fucking
Captain Rexes?
Clone Wire heads. Yeah, exactly. I think that would work.
And cloned marshmallows.
Then he said, this is a dangerous question. If you could access the world between worlds and could visit anywhere in the history of Star Wars, where would you go and what momentous event would you change? Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
That's a tough one. Oh, you know what I would do?
Why? What would you do?
I would go to Cloud City.
Oh, okay.
And the moment Vader drops the I am your father, I would just be standing there and go, oh, shit.
Sneak up behind Luke and plug his ears. Nothing to see here. Nothing to hear here.
Or you could go back and maybe both times Leia kisses Luke on the mouth. You could just step in. Like, just put your mouth right in there.
Just whisper in her ear.
Don't do it.
Regret that later.
Don't do it. I know it seems right now. Have you ever watched the movie Back to the Future when their car at the end and it feels like I'm kissing my brother? It's just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other thing I would do is I would go back to Tatooine before, into the cantina and just fucking blow Toro away before he even got Mando involved.
You really don't like that guy, do you? Like,
I
what
really
would I do? I would go.
Care for him.
I don't know. I think if I could go back anywhere, it would probably be like right when Order 66 was kicking in, and maybe run to the room with all the children before Anakin got there.
Now that is
I know I'm a
nice
stranger, but you're gonna want to follow me.
Yeah, you're thinking stranger danger here, and you know this other clown. But let me just tell you right now, have you seen his eyes? That's a bad thing. Follow me, kids. Come on. You'd have to have somebody else trustworthy. Kyle would have to go with you. You need somebody there to as a motherly.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good one. Save the fucking kids.
Always thinking about the good. Yeah.
Yeah, you're always thinking about the good.
I know.
You're a good guy. Yeah, the only other thing I could think of was maybe you go to Mustafar and put fucking Anakin out of his misery, but then you don't get all the Darth Vader stuff. So fuck that.
Right, yeah, you can't do that. Yeah. More like just get him a glass of water. Hold on. Emperor's on his way.
throw a towel over him. Like, yeah, just put those flames out.
Phantom. It's getting warmer.
Here's some Neosporin and some aloe.
Like
You're gonna
smoldering.
Need oh shit, man. All right. Well, thank you, Mike. Oh, he said, finally, the Lego hilt is not glued. These are civilized times. So you can break that shit down and break it apart and do something else with it if you want. But
Well, that's kind of dangerous because he's going to ship it. So, I mean, I wouldn't use FedEx.
Well, I think he's going to package it up nice and neat so it doesn't run around on you.
Okay.
Or he could send it with his own made constructions. That's what my kids used to call instructions in Lego.
Constructions?
Constructions.
Okay.
He could send his own custom booklet.
How fucking, that's almost like that'd be like the ultimate fucking joke against us. Like, yeah, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to send this fucking gift. And we're like, for weeks, we're going to be like, you can win this. It's going to be awesome. And then he sends it. It's just the box, not even fucking made.
Yeah, no instructions whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's a random bag of Legos. Fuck off.
Figure
Mike.
it out. Win the dark side, huh? Or dark saber.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for sending those in. Again,
Yes.
FACPApod@gmail.com. Or you can also, as a reminder, you can also join in on our new Question of the Week contest. Or it's not a contest, but it's a fun game.
Yeah. We're looking for some back and forth with our listeners. So if you see us on Twitter and we ask a question, go ahead and answer it. We'll read it on the show, and you get put in for, you can win Laybourne's maybe possibly put together
Bag of Legos.
Yeah.
Bag of random Legos.
Maybe he'll shrink wrap it.
Yeah. That would help.
You like cut it and it just fucking falls apart.
Or it's just
Wrap.
nothing. There's just like 4 pieces. It's like half a body, no head. Like, come on, man.
Laybourne, we know you're up to something.
Worst giveaway ever. You guys suck. 1 star.
That's our Yelp review.
That's his revenge.
Okay.
As he gets us a bunch of 1-star reviews.
Yeah. Okay, we got a FACPAtoid. I'm not going to read all of this, but it's basically, I call it Luthen's Lucasfilm Emporium because there's more than just the Star Wars stuff that's in there. Did you notice in the Carbonite? Did we talk about this? That it was Indy's whip?
I saw that, and people speculated about it. Has that been confirmed?
I don't know if it was
in
confirmed.
our minds. It has been
I don't know if it was
confirmed.
confirmed by Lucasfilm, but I've seen enough people talking about it where I feel like that's
They should have had the idol from the Raiders of the Lost Ark sitting in there somewhere. That gold idol that he steals. They should have fucking had that there, or the Ark in the background.
The Ark, yeah, it should be. Yep. Well, I mean, that's just like wasn't the crystal skulls in Solo, in that trophy room, and
it was. Oh, was it really?
Was it?
I know there was a lot of shit. Not the trophy. It was what's his face's office.
Yes.
Paul Bettany's office.
Yes, it was. I think one of the crystal skulls was in there.
I know there was a bunch of random shit in there. I didn't know one of the crystal skulls. Oh, let's not start talking about that movie.
Okay. So yeah, that was in there, and then we didn't talk about the Sith Stalker armor.
Yes. So what is that from again?
It's from the Force Unleashed.
Say that again.
Yeah, and edit the first one out. The Force
Unleashed.
Yeah, it's Porsche Unleashed.
The Porsche is unleashed.
Yeah.
I didn't lease it. I just bought it straight away.
It's unleashed. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. That shot, I remember seeing it, and I didn't know exactly what the tie-ins were.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't either. But then seeing a couple of people talk about it, I looked it up, and I like the idea. Like, to me, it's probably just like an Easter egg, right? Like, this is here. But the idea, like, maybe they were toying with the idea that, Vader has a secret apprentice.
Right.
So
Could be.
that would be really cool.
I wonder how that decision goes down with Gilroy. If they're like, so this guy's got he operates this artifacts museum, precious stuff. Like, what do you want us to put in there? Because you don't want to do fan service. You don't want to do all these Easter eggs, but can we at least put, you think somebody was on the set, like a production person was like, can we at least put these 4 things in there? And he's like, fucking, I don't care. Go ahead.
Yeah. He was probably just like, fill this fucking room. I don't care what's in this.
Yeah.
I got to go write an episode.
Right. It'll give a bunch of, he's like, I can't remember if that's the episode where is that episode 2 or 3? Yeah, so he's like, it's a little bit of a slower episode, so we'll give these nerds something to talk about. And we'll just give them a room full of shit.
Maybe he doesn't know. Like, he's telling everyone, yeah, we didn't do Easter eggs, we didn't do anything. And the fucking production designer's like, he has no idea.
He has no idea those oversized holocrons.
He's got mad scientists. Pulled one over on Gilroy.
They should have had like Luke's hand in there, and they're like, that doesn't make sense with the timeline. It wouldn't have happened.
The hand and the lightsaber is just over there on his shelf.
Somebody went through the world between worlds and grabbed his arm. That's what you should have done.
Right.
Go fucking find his hand.
Yeah. What was I thinking?
Just sit down there and catch that thing in that chamber. Somebody should have been down there.
Now I have the Force. It doesn't work that way. All right, that's it. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And until next time,
Podcasts are built on hope.
we have spoken.